here it says, determine the 10th term, so we want T10, of an arithmetic sequence. So that tells me I need to use Tn equals T1 plus n minus 1t, in which the first term, T1 is 5, and the fourth term is 17. So I know in order to use this formula, I want T10 equals 5 plus 10 minus 1. Uh-oh. I don't have D. So that's a hint that I need to get D. I need to get D. So, to get D, I can go 5 is T1, blank, blank, T4 is 17. So I can use the Tn formula to get D. This would be my Tn for this sake. This would be T1. N would be 4, and I could solve for D. So I get 17 equals T1 plus n minus 1, and then D. Subtract 5. 12 equals 3D, 5 by 3, and D equals 4. So now that I actually have D, I could plug it into my formula. So I get T10 equals 5 plus 9 times 4. So it equals 5 plus 36. So T10 equals 41. Yeah? So sometimes you have to fill in your formula to figure out what the heck you're missing. Figure out how you're going to get there. I got to address it with that line. Now, yesterday we talked about this one. A concert hall has 10 seats in the first row, so I gave you T1 is 10. And then in the second row there are 12. It doesn't say in the first two rows there are 12, because that would be sum, correct? It says in the second row there are 12, so that's T2. If each row has 2 more seats than the row before, they gave me D. And there are 30 rows of seats, so there are n equals 30. How many seats are there in the entire concert hall? So they're looking for S, right? Sum. So we're doing S30. And this is arithmetic. So I have to either choose from the first sum or the second sum. What is non-negotiable in arithmetic series is you have to have T1 and you have to have N. What's great about this one is I have T1 and I have N. If I'm missing N, remember with arithmetic series, I have to go back to Tn and find N first, then I can do the arithmetic series, right? Now my two options are the second one, which has N and D and T1, or the third one that has T1 and Tn. I don't have Tn, correct? So I have to use the long formula, which is N divided by 2, 2T1 plus N minus 1, and then D is 2. I'm going to get 15, bracket 20, plus 29 times 2. So I get 15, bracket 20, plus, and then this would be 60, right to 30, so 42 is 58. And then I get 15 times 78. 1,170? And then this one we talked about, a culture initially has 5,000 bacteria, so I gave it T1, and it increased by 8%. Whenever it's a percent, you know it's going to be geometric, right? That's going to help you get your R. It increases by 8%, so that means I'm at 100. I increased by 8, I'm now at 108. And my R has to be a decimal form, so it's at 1.08, so divide by 100. how many bacteria are present in 5 hours. So I don't want to know how many are present in the first 5 hours, because that would be S5. I want to know how many are present in the 5th hour, so that's T5. So T5 equals 5,000, bracket 1.08 to the 5 minus 1. So it's going to be 5,000, bracket 1.08 to the 4. So I get, what's 1.08 to the power of 4 times 5,000. 6,802? Yeah. Bacteria. And I can't get partial bacteria, so even if it was 6802.5, it would still be 6802. If it's the nearest whole number, you have to round down. Yeah.
Isn't it, and, no, I'm getting confused with something else.
You're good? So we're going to flip to page 12 or comment. So the good thing about the test is you know it has to be sequences in series or quadratic functions. Quadratic functions include vertex, axis symmetry, domain, range, converting from standard form to vertex form, which is complete the square, which we did the last 2 days, or vertex form to standard form, which you just have to expand, right? So we know that we're really looking at the vertex a lot in this unit. That's a huge thing, like vertex, right? So our word problems are going to be about maxes and mins, because maxes and mins are actually the vertex for quadratic, aren't they? The max and the min is the vertex. So a lot of our word problems, are going to talk about maximums and minimums. Oh, look, maximum area word problem. Shocking. Okay, so here we have a rancher. Why wouldn't we talk about ranchers? Real life. A rancher has 100 meters of fencing. Now let's think about this. I'm a rancher. I'm going to fence. Do I fence around the field or do I fence the entire field? Around. If I fence the entire field, think about this. I have cows and they're just sitting in fencing. You're nasty, that's what you are. You're a mean rancher. Like you just have cattle and they're stuck in fence. For those of you who tell me it's area. Area would mean you fence the whole land. Like there's just fence everywhere and there's just cows standing in fence. That's just not real, okay? So it's not area. They didn't just give me the area. What did they give me? The perimeter. They gave me the fence that goes around the outside. So when we talk about fences, or we're fencing land, they're giving me perimeter, correct? The stuff around the outside, okay? So if you say area, you literally just put cows in fence. And they're just weaved into barbed wire. That's me. Okay. So a rancher has 800 meters of fencing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to grab the pen first. I hate this computer. Okay. 100 meters of fencing means they gave me the perimeter equals 100 meters. Also the giveaway is if you say area equals 100 meters, you're either wrong or they're wrong. Because area is in meters squared, correct? So the units would give it away as well. If they give you 100 meters squared, they probably give you something of area, right? If they give you 100 meters, they either give you a length or a width or all the lengths and widths, which is the perimeter. So your units can help you determine what the heck they gave you as well. Now here it says, 100 meters of fencing available to build a rectangular corral along the side of the barn. Okay, rectangular corral along the side of the barn. So I got myself a barn. Here it is. You know what? We want to let something in. So we're going to get it. There's a door here. Okay? Do I need to fence along the barn? That's a waste of fence. You literally have a wall, and then you just put a fence line in front of it. You look silly. Don't do that. You're not fencing. If they give you a river, or they give you a barn, or they give you anything, that object doesn't need to be fenced, correct? You can run your fence, make yourself a little pattern, but then you don't have to fence that part. That part, no cow can go into it. It's literally a wall, be like fencing here. I would fence out like this, and put a fence like this, and I could put a puppy in it, correct? I'm not gonna fence here, that would be a waste of fencing, would it not? They're not gonna fence this wall, they can't go through. So, when we go to fence, we're gonna have something like this. Correct? I should put it in a different color because it looks like there's fence there. The fence is gonna be green. Along this barn. So this fence would only have 3 sides, do you agree? Not 4, 3. Now if I want to maximize the area I could make of something with fencing, right? If I want to make the biggest fence I could possibly do, and I don't have to fence the barn, or I don't have to fence the wall, here, right? I know that my fence is either going to be 2 widths and a length, or 2 lengths and a width. Do you agree? If I want to make the biggest fence I can make possible, what side am I going to make the barn be? A length or a width? Because I don't have to fence it. I want it to be the biggest side. What would I make it be? The length, correct? And then I throw 2 widths out, and then I make that the length as well. Because I can make it be the largest I could possibly make it be, the more of the wall I can use up, right? Because I don't have to fence that part. That part's there already. So always keep in mind that even though I drew this really stupid, this is a width, this would be the width, this would be a length. Even though it does not look like that because there's more drum scale. We always make the side across from what you don't want to fence the largest, the length, because you want to use as little of fence to try and fence off that wall. Like you don't have to fence that wall off. So I want to use as large of the wall as possible. So that's my length. Width. Okay? So, how do we do these questions? Well, when it's a farmer question, they gave you perimeter. I very much at least know that, correct? So let's make ourselves a perimeter equation. At the very least, if we're stuck, they gave us perimeter, we can give a perimeter equation. Normally, perimeter is 2 lengths, 2 widths, but this perimeter is not 2 lengths, 2 widths, because I don't need the second length, correct? It's a wall. So what's my perimeter going to be? 2 widths plus a length, correct? So step 1 is always to write out your perimeter equation when it's one of these farmer questions. Now they gave me the perimeter. What is it? 100. I wrote it up there. P equals 100. So I can take this P and toss it out and replace it with 100. At the very least, I can get there, correct? Now here it says, write a quadratic function in standard form. Standard form is without brackets, right? In standard form means no brackets. I'll help myself out here. That represents the area. Oh wait, they want an area. So I can write something about area. They want an area. So I'm going to go over here, and this is my step 2. And I'm going to write area equals what? What does area always equal in a rectangle? The length times the width. So given the info I'm given, I can sit at least and get to this point, correct? Area is length times width, perimeter is 2 width plus length. I use 100. So I could sit here and be kind of a little stuck at this point, but I should be able to get to this point, correct? So this is where, when you get stuck at this point, think, what could I do next? Well, I actually do have an equation here, correct? When I have 2 equations, I can take one and insert it into the other. I can do that. This one doesn't have enough stuff, but I know in the end I need area equals something. They want an equation, correct? Really? They want an area equation. So I want area equals something, and hopefully this something is in standard form. We want standard form of an area. Do you agree? Okay. So then I want to take this equation and insert it into that one, because ultimately in the end I want this equation. Do you agree? So I can either isolate for W or I can isolate for L. I would pick L because it's the one by itself. So how do I get L by itself? Be step 3. Nope. I want to get L by itself. So I want to move the 2W. How do I move it? It's a positive 2W. How do I move it? Subtract 2W. Do You only divide if you have your very last variable with a number in front of it. Other than that, we don't divide. So we're going to get length equals negative 2w plus 100. So now I know for every L in any equation, I can now put in negative 2w plus 100. We agree? Because right now I said L equals negative 2w plus 100. Yes? Well, if you look in the other equation, is there an L? Yep, let's do it. So in for L, I'm going to put negative 2w plus 100. That's for my step 4. So I'm going to go negative 2w plus 100. That's going to go in for my L. And what's going to go in for W? Nothing. I don't have anything to put in for W. So I'm going to leave it as a W. Pardon?
Is it 1p on its own since?
No, L equals this. So I'm going to L, Carson, and I'm tossing it, and I'm replacing it with negative 2w. This is the one I isolated. Now to get to standard form, I just said it can't have brackets, correct? So what do I do after this? Distribute. Everyone follow me to that point? See how we got there? We're not answering B right now. We need to practice another one to solidify those 5 steps into our head. We're not moving on to B. I don't really care about B right now. We want to practice another one. So we're going to move ahead. Just for that one, yeah. That's all you have to write. They just wanted in standard form for now. We'll come back to B and actually answer some questions. But for now, we're just going to move to the equation. So I'm going to get you guys to, not worry about that one for right now. Just go to a separate sheet of paper. Oh, I pulled the head of this. Trust me. So now I'm going to give you a farmer. It's a practice example how you. A farmer has 300 meters of fencing. He wants to make a fence or pasture, we could say, against the river. We're not going to fence the river, just so you know. Determine the maximum area the farmer can fence. Now I know I'm asking you to find the maximum area. Are we going to do that right now? No. All we're going to do is you're going to get me an equation, a maximum area equation. Okay? You try it out. Give me a maximum area equation, just like we did in the last one. That's all I want. I don't want any answers. I want a maximum area equation. So the first thing we have to set up is what? Which equation? The perimeter. Now we have 300 meters, so I know P equals 300 meters, at the very least. And then I have to see, sometimes there's no, it's just a fence in the middle of nowhere. Then you would need 2 widths and 2 lengths, correct? So you have to read to figure out what the perimeter is. I gave you another one where the fence is against the river, and therefore you can just do P equals 2 widths plus a length. But I could just give you a random piece of land, and you have to fence a 4-sided corral. And you do 2 widths plus 2 lengths, correct? We're also going to do one in a second here where I'm going to make you make a few pens in one thing. You saw it on the previous page. You did do it. It was like a pen with a whole bunch of little cups. I'm going to do one like that. So I can throw anything at you, and they're all the same. Okay? So we're going to fill in our 300 equals 2 widths plus a length. We're always going to look for maximum area. If we look for minimum area, that'd be silly. You you could literally just wrap like the fence around and hope to get like just a tiny little spot. Like, I don't know if anyone would ever. Okay? So we have that. I'm going to, in my own right, I'm going to move the 2W over by subtracting it because I want to get it by itself. Because I know I'm going to have to anyways. But you can do it in the order which I did before. I know my max area is going to equal length times the width because it is a rectangle. And I import my length to be negative 2W plus 300. And it's multiplied by W. So I have to distribute. So I'm going to get negative 2W squared plus 300W. Did everyone get to that point? You can get to this point? That's the hardest part. Then we use yesterday. Then we use our information from yesterday. What's up? Because you're going to distribute the W in. So negative 2W times the W is W squared.
W times W.
Make sense? Yeah? Okay, we're going to come back to this example. We're going to go back to our original one. We're going to do some work. We're going to go back to it. So this is our original. B says, what are the coordinates of the vertex? When I give you a standard form, how do you figure out vertex if I'm asking algebra here? I don't want to go to your calculator and get it. How do you go from standard to get me vertex? When you hear vertex, what form do you need to have? Vertex form, correct? How did we get vertex form from standard form? We completed the square, just like yesterday, correct? We had to get that perfect trinomial square. So you will always do perimeter. Get your area formula, and then you will always complete the square. You will always complete the square. Okay? So now we have area equals, how do I complete the square? Well, I'm going to write that equation up here just so I have it. I'm going to write my standard form equation. So, and if I want to, I can put a plus 0 at the back. If you really want to have that third number, put a plus 0 at the back, because that's all that's there, right? There is no number at the back. Yesterday we had numbers always. So what do I have to do when I complete the square? I take the negative 2 out of the first 2, correct? So I get negative 2 bracket W squared, take out a negative 2W, sorry, divided by negative 2 is W squared. And then I do 100W divided by negative 2 is negative 50W. And then I need to add something. At the back, I have a plus 0, technically. Do I have to write plus 0 at the back? No, but it makes people feel better. They need that third number. That's fine. How do I get the blank? The same way always. I take my B, my negative 50. I divide it by 2. And I square it. So I get negative 25. Holy dang. What happened there? Negative 25 squared, which I believe is 625. So I'm going to write 625 here. Now I have to figure out what I need to add over here. Remember, sometimes I subtract, sometimes I add. I just do the opposite. So right here now, I have negative 2 times 625. What's negative 2 times 625? Yeah. So negative 1,250. So I technically have subtracted 1,250. Do you agree? So if I just randomly subtracted it, what do I have to do? Add it. So I'm going to add 1,250 plus 0, which doesn't. Then I'm going to get area equals negative 2. This is perfect trinomial square. What multiplies to give me 625 and adds to give me negative 50? If you're stuck, it's always it's always half of this. You won't look back, right? So it's going to be W minus 25 squared plus 1250. This is really awesome. This back here, this is always our maximum area. So the maximum area is 1,250. I think it was meters. Was it meters? up top, meters squared is area. So that's the y of the vertex, it's always the maximum area. Then what's in this bracket here, which is the x of a vertex, what letter is with it? What's that letter? W, is it a W? What does W stand for? Width. And we always take the opposite of this for the vertex, right? So our width is what? 25 meters. If I have the width and I have the area, anyone know how I get the length? Area is length times width, correct? So you can divide it. So if I want the length, I just take the area and divide by the width and I'll get my length, correct? Cancel our left with what? That's 1250 divided by 25. 30? Oh, 50? Yeah? 50. 50. This 25 and 25 is 5, and 0. So in the end, I'll either ask you for the maximum area, which you can get from the back number, or I'll ask you for the dimensions of the fence. And the dimensions of the fence would be 25 meters by 50 meters. That's the only thing I'll ever ask. So the maximum area, the back number, or the dimensions. Remember that other question we were working on? I want the maximum area and the dimensions. So you're going to have to do what with that equation? Complete the square. Get it into vertex form. Okay? So go to that other question we were working on. I want the maximum area, which is what I asked for, but I also want you to practice getting the dimension. So try that out. So for this one, we have to complete the square. So we're going to get negative 2w squared, and then 300w divided by negative 2 is negative 150w plus sum. How do we get the sum thing? I go negative 150 divided by 2 squared is negative 75 squared, which is 5,625. Now, what did we do? We went 5,625, we multiplied it by negative 2, so we added 2,000? It has to be double 5. There we go. Net times, and divided. You get negative 11,250 is what you added. Technically added a negative. So you subtracted 11,250, so we're going to have to add 11,000. Technically plus 0. Really want, right? Plus 0 back. So we're going to get negative 2w minus, look one back, or it's always half of this one, right? Minus 75 squared plus 11,250. So this here is my what? Max area. So this would be the proper unit. It's 11,250 meters squared. And then this is my what? W, so it's my width. Equals 75 meters. And then to get the length, I do the area divided by the width. 11,200 meters squared. Divided by 75 meters squared. Or meters, sorry. Put that off. 150. So if I want my dimensions, are 75 meters by 150 meters. Yeah? Okay, we are going to go to that practice question, the assignment part. 2 ahead. This one. We're going to go here. Sorry, I just answered it. Oh my God. We're going to the one that has a whole bunch of pens. Right? This one. So I still do everything the same. I need to get a perimeter. I need to get an area. Right? This is page 14. So the key thing you have to realize, I need to come up with a perimeter. So it says Maria lives on a farm. She's planning to build an enclosure for her animals that is divided into 3 equal-sized sections. 1, 2, 3 equal pens. She has 280 meters of fencing. So what did I give you? In meters, so I give you the perimeter. So I need to come up with the perimeter equation for this one. This is what you need to know. A lot of people think these are the lengths and then there's a whole bunch of widths. That's not it. This whole side here and this whole side here are lengths. You see that? So the perimeter of this one is 2 lengths plus these are all widths. So how many widths does this one have? 4. So now I have 280 equals 2 lengths plus 4 widths. And I'm still going to have to isolate one of the variables, aren't I? I'm still going to do length. So what's the first thing I need to move over? 4W by subtracting it, right? So I'm going to get 280 minus 4W equals 2 lengths. But I want length. So how do I get length by itself now? 5/2. Every term. So my length actually equals negative 2W plus 140. Just a bit more work, right? Then what do I go to next? Max area, right? Max area. Equals length times width. So it equals length, which is negative 2W plus 140 and W. So it equals negative 2W squared plus 140W. It doesn't matter what questions I ask you, what are you going to have to do next? Complete the square. Get it into vertex form. So I take the negative 2 out. I'm left with W squared plus, not plus, minus 70W plus something. So I go negative 70 divided by 2 squared is negative 35. Squared equals 1,225. And remember, I'm going negative 2 times that. So I'm subtracting 2,450, right? So if I'm subtracting 2,450, I actually need to add 2,450, and I didn't run out of room. So I'm going to get negative 2 W minus 35 squared plus 2,450. Remember, it's always going to have to be added at the back because it's maximum area. If you have a subtraction of that, you have a negative area. Does that make any sense? So my max area is the back number. I have a max area of 2,450 meters squared. I have a width of 35 meters. And I have a length equal to 2,450 meters squared divided by 35 meters. I'm left with 70. Yeah, length equals 70. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to try these questions out. Write them down. Page 196. Number 21. BC. Page 196. Number 21. B and C. Page 196. Number 21. B and C. 196, 21, B and C. And then page 177. Number 17. AC. One of them is like a pen question, a few pens, and then the other one is fencing, but there's a building along one side. So I'll give you about 5-ish minutes to work on that. I know you won't get through it, that's okay, but we're moving on to the other tech work problem after that. Yeah, it's gonna be your homework there. And then there's maximum revenue. So we do maximum area questions, which are like the farmer questions. That's one type. The other second type of work problem that we have on this test is maximum revenue. And how will you spot the difference? One will talk about area, and one will talk about revenue first. Mind blowing. They're very different.
Revenue is money.
Yes. So we're going to look at example 3. It's the bottom of page 12. So here we have the student council at a high school is planning a fundraising activity with professional photographers taking portraits of individuals or groups. The student council gets to charge and keep a session fee for each individual or group photo session. Last year, they charged $10 session fee. Someone write that down. A $10 session fee. And booked 400 sessions. These questions will always give you an amount for something. So like you might be selling canoes for $200. Or you might be selling planes tickets for $200 a piece. Or you might be buying golf balls for whatever. It's always like a price per amount. okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're either gonna increase the amount, decrease the price, or something like that after that. So here it says, in considering what price they should charge this year, student council members estimate that for every dollar increase, am I gonna put dollars with the dollars or with the sessions? What do you think? Dollars with the dollars, because you know they go together. Isn't that crazy? So we're gonna go, they want to increase it by $1. Okay, we're gonna increase, we're gonna add $1 per session, right? We'll just leave that there, per session. So for every $10, I'm now gonna add $1. So for every $1 increase, they're going to lose 20 sessions. So for every $1 they charge per session more, they're going to lose 20 sessions. Lose means subtract. See, I'm putting money with money and sessions with sessions. Isn't it crazy? Okay. We need to make a model, a function. This one's actually way easier than the last one, just so you know. We're going to make a profit function. So for a profit function, profit, we need the amount of whatever I'm selling, correct? Times it by the price of whatever I'm selling. Is it not? So my amount is the sessions. So I'm going to do, I have 400, and then I'm going to go 20 times X. X would be the change in selling volume, right? And then my price, I'm going to do 10 is what I charged last year, and I'm going to add $1 for every one I sell. So this is however many I sell, this is $1 added on to the amount I sell. You FOIL that out. Get yourself a standard equation. Now we could let X represent the number of price increases. So if we price increased, let's say, if we price increased 4 times, then it would be 1 times 4, right? If we price increased 8 times, it would be 1 times 8. We just don't know what that price increase is. But do you understand how we set up the equation? The X always gets put with the new increase or decrease. So if I'm increasing it by $1, I get 1X. If I'm decreasing it by 20 sessions, I get 20 minus 20X. But the number in the front, what we started with, from like last year, we sold last year, those don't have X's with them. Do you see that? So I expand it out, and I'm going to get 4,000 plus 400X minus 200X minus 20X squared. Now we always want to write X squared first because we're going to have to complete the square with these ones. Because I want max profit. Oh, look at this. Max profit. I had max area on the last one, didn't I? So I have to complete the square and it gave me the max area at the end, didn't it? Now when I complete the square with this one, what do you think it's going to give me at the end? The max profit at the end. So we're gonna go minus 20x plus 200x, I'm putting these together, plus 4,000. You complete the square. Go. Okay. Did everyone get it? So the back of the max area questions, the back number, the y was the max area, correct? Now we're doing a max profit. No idea what you're talking about. It's been there the whole time. That is a common error, man. Drop that square off. I just did it. We'll do it up to S2 and then it can move on stuff. It's not a loss. So this back number is always our max revenue or max profit. Depending on if they say revenue or profit. So profit is in what units? 90. Now, this is the catch. What letter is here with that? What variable? X. So I know X equals 5. So people want to tell me that 5 is $5 or 5 is 5. I don't remember what was this about. That's sessions. It's 5 sessions. It's neither of those. That's what X is, right? That's what X is. Well, we had price. The price was actually 10 plus 1x, right? And now we know x is what? 5. So it's going to be 10 plus 1 times 5. So what does the price end up actually being? $15, right? And then the other one was amount, or sessions in this case. And it was the other bracket, 400 minus 20x. And x is 5. 20 times 5 is 100. So it's going to be 300 sessions. So x actually doesn't immediately get you anything. X gets you the change that they did. The change of how many increases of dollars they did. Right? So now if I multiply those two together, if I multiply $15 per session, I'm going to go 15 times 300, what should I get? The max profit. Right? So if I have my price and I times the number of sessions, I should get the maximum profit. Do we agree? Does that make sense? So you always set up with money, money. Sessions, sessions. Money, money. Canoes, canoes. Money, money. Golf balls, golf balls. Like, it's, put the things together, okay? The amount you start off with, so if I had 300 golf balls or sold at $2 each, every dollar I increase the golf ball, I lose this many golf balls sold. It's dollars with dollars, golf balls with golf balls, okay? Brackets. One's profit. So to get profit, sorry, it's amount times the dollar amount, right? The amount of objects times dollar amount. Standard form, complete the square. You're going to complete the square for all these little problems because I want max area or max profit. The two questions I want you to do here are, basically you don't have to do number 17, same as the other one. So you have 3 questions for homework. Got 21 BC, and then these are the two that are like this. Page 195, number 18 AB and 19 AB. So I'm going to write down for homework this and that page 196 that I give you for 21 BC. Those are your homework.